Welcome to Working Title Hat Collecting with me, Lacey Artemis, aka Artemis Creates. Today, my guest is Jen, who is the co host of We Happen to Be Trans, a pop culture podcast. She has been an active member of the transgender community for several years on Instagram and married with 2 kids, so she keeps herself very busy. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Hey, thanks.
Yes, this is our inaugural episode, and we're gonna just try to, go on it. And so, as you would have seen before the preface of the show, so we're gonna talk about what Jen's up to basically. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of your current projects?
So just everything, the stuff I do on a daily basis or weekly in my life, I should say, is I'm involved in scouting for my kids. So that with the Boy Scouts of America programs, I do podcasting as you mentioned, Instagram. I have a secret project. I can say no more than I'm working on it at this point. And yeah, it's work. I work out of this same office every day, so it's quite a lot. It feels very weird to be in here doing something other than taking phone calls from my job. Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of relate because I think I've mentioned this publicly somewhere on the internet before, but essentially my studio is my bedroom, but it's basically 90% studio and 10% bedroom. So and like I do my day job, I work from home, and then I have all of my creative projects that I do here, and then my like just normal life and everything. So this room itself pretty much wears multiple hats, which is fitting.
Yeah.
I this is brand new. I just got this just in time for the show, and
I
I'm quite
like it.
happy with it. It's good old branding. Uh, and yeah, so the next question, kind of in series here, is why have you chosen, or why do you, yeah, basically why have you chosen to wear the various hats that you're currently wearing?
Well, I am I am one of the members of the hashtag Trans Eagle Scouts group. We do occasionally tag ourselves with that. There's a number of us. I think I have found 15 or 20 of us connected through Instagram or Facebook, which is huge. So getting involved in scouts for me was kind of important. I still like scouting. That was a rough time. But transitioning well a scout leader is kind of a hard process. And doing the super secret project, that one, I stumbled into it, and I think it's a great idea. I love the idea and the project. I'm not in charge. That's somebody else's project, but I'm working on it with them. And so, yeah, I just kept going with it because it was fun and a good opportunity, basically to do some stuff. Work, obviously, I've got to make a living, so I do that, but I work in HR, human resources. So a lot of my stuff focuses around diversity and projects of that nature. I've been working on through my employer. I work for a university, and I'm getting an equity and diversity certificate. I've got 2 classes left of that. I missed 2 courses because of timing. If they send out the email at 5 p.m. and I'm not on my computer, I don't register for it until the next morning. Well, it's full now and you're on the wait list. So that's how that happened. It may take a little bit for me to get through those last couple ones, but I'm trying. And then I've got, with the kids, with 2 kids, I have so much going on, just managing them during the day. And now they're going to have school, from home, part time. They're going to be at school 2 days a week, 3 days at home. It's a lot of just work for the kids. I'm married. I have a sweetie here in town in the metro I live in. And I've got another girl I'm involved with outside of my metro. So there's a lot of texting and messaging involved there. Yeah. Plus I have choose to spend time with friends too, instead of mowing the yard all the time. So I wind up actually on Discord chatting while watching movies, like Netflix party type stuff, all the time, a couple days a week minimum. And so that all adds up. And I'm gaming. I do D&D games a couple days a week. I don't think there's a day of the week I don't have something going on of some kind.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I mean, I'm not married. I don't have any sweeties at the moment, so I don't have that hat or that system of hats. But hopefully someday soon that will be a thing again. And just you kind of mentioned the like trans scout community thing. That reminded me. I have a bit of a small, I guess, about a half dozen of us now, trans hockey fans that we've kind of connected on Twitter. So we have like a group chat that we talk about hockey, but we also talk about trans stuff when
Yeah.
that's applicable, and it's a fun little thing. And like, I want to find more trans hockey fans because I don't even know that many hockey fans, despite being, you know, a Canadian, and everyone thinks, oh, all Canadians like hockey. Like, no, they don't.
Yeah, no. I remember early on, I chatted a lot with Heather Lynn. I forget her Instagram handle, but Heather Lynn plays hockey in a league, and I believe she lived in Chicago at the time. I don't know if she moved or anything. We lost touch along the way. I think she left Instagram. I'm not sure, but I know she played in Boston at a queer hockey league as part of the first all-trans team in that league. So she got invited over to play for a game with that team, and that was kind of really cool. I grew up watching hockey and liking hockey too, so I have I have a special place in my heart for hockey, even if it's not something I participate in.
Yeah, hockey is one of my special interests. I haven't played besides like just the occasional drop-in rec game in quite a while, but I'm hoping to again. I wanted to go ice skating this past winter, but it just didn't end up working out. So hopefully this coming winter. What are the main tools that you use to do the projects like the podcast and whatever else you're working on?
Yeah, that's making everything work for me. I can't live without my phone. In the phone, in the phone, in the phone, in the calendar, in that calendar, every single thing I do, scheduling my days. Because if I don't, I'll do what I did today and spend most of it binging a TV show. I spent the day binging, like yesterday and today. I did install my dishwasher, a new dishwasher, over the past 2 days. We ran into some troubles and had to, come back to it today from yesterday. But otherwise, I spent the day watching the last 2 seasons of Legend of Korra.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're only human, right? So sometimes just I know sometimes you just get burnt out or overloaded and just. Yeah, but I totally like this thing is a blessing and a curse, and something that my roommate kind of makes fun of me for is because I use a task tracker reminder app because I have like really bad ADD, and without that app, like because it really frustrates me sometimes because it just ends up happening where like I'll have like, a dozen reminders just all pop up at once. And then I'll just kind of keep snoozing them because I can't do it right now. But then 10, 15 minutes, half an hour. And then they call and then it's like, oh no, I still can't do them. And I just get to this point where I'm just like, go away. And he's like, maybe that's not the best solution for you. And I'm like, before I had this, it was worse. I forgot everything. Now at least I remember things. It just frustrates me. But it's the lesser of two evils as far as my experience has shown me.
Same. Yeah. It's same. So. Me not having the phone to remind me that this was happening, I wouldn't have got my computer set up in time.
You mentioned before we were recording that you use Audacity for the podcast. Is that the only software that you use for that?
So we record on Audacity, and then we use Discord to chat. We communicate via Messenger the most rather than through like Instagram chat. Partly due to the fact that two of us have muted a lot of the stuff from Instagram. Which is it's distraction. It's too much. Like, I love Instagram. I love the connections I've made there. My post yesterday, because yesterday was my 2-year HRT-versary or hormone-versary, whatever they call it. And I posted about it. I'm like, well, I've met so many amazing people, and I listed off just like maybe close to a dozen, not quite a dozen of them over the course of that post. And I'll say more again on Tuesday, but oh my gosh. Yeah. If I didn't mute it, I mean, oh God, back when I had my first account before I got locked out by myself again, I would have had, I think I was following like 600 people and was like 1,800 followers. Hopefully I get that one back because I'm much smaller now, but not too concerned about the size of my account, which is nice because otherwise you get trapped in that ADHD growth spiral. I got a new follower. That's a boost. Get that dopamine.
My roommate and I joke about that because, like, I swear it's like there's an algorithm that if you get one new follower, you have to lose two, and like maybe one set of every 10 times, you actually get to keep the extra ones because it's just like it always goes up and then back down and up and then back down, and then eventually it'll actually go up and stay up, and it's just like, oh, finally.
It took me months to go from 1,790 to 1,800. Despite the fact that I'm on the podcast, I get tagged by Alexis at Last a few times, been tagged by her and a few other friends and stuff. It's like, go check out Jen. And where did all the followers go? I do have a fairly high functioning block ability. It's like, no, you're definitely a chaser. Block. Oh, nope, you're blocked. You followed me last night and I didn't catch it, and now you're sending me dick pics. Block. Yeah, I'm a high functioning block addict, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna detour into that because we'll waste too much time. I'm gonna keep rolling along. I wanted to ask, because the podcast seems to kind of be your main kind of creative outlet. How did that get started?
So, excuse me. So we started out, and as I knew who, I knew both, both of my partners. So Victoria Maximus and Kaylee Cake are my two podcasting partners, and I knew both of them beforehand, and they knew each other beforehand. And Kaylee tried, and she struggles with some things as well. It might be a good person to chat with about wearing different hats. But Kaylee tried to do the gender positive chat and get that set up. And we had a Discord for a while and looking to make, projects with other people who are involved in the gender positive, hey, let's bring them together and stuff. And there were a good dozen people who thought they wanted to do a podcast. Victoria organized it, set it up. Her wife named it, and it was one of several projects she'd wanted to try. And she's like, well, let's do this. This is great. And me and Kaylee showed up on the test day. And so we tested it out. Victoria named me Jen Giggles because I laugh a lot. And then, yeah, it just went rolling from there. We've been recording and doing the podcast work for over a year. And it's coming up on 1 year in October for our podcast anniversary.
Yay. Yeah, I did 2 podcasts many years ago, even before the precursor to this talk show. I did one, again, just interviewing people because I just really like doing that, apparently. I keep back to it. And then a friend of mine who I thought was really funny, and I just said to him, I was like, you need to have a podcast. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, all right, you need to have one. If you're not going to do it, I'll produce it for you. So I did. And that lasted for like a year. And then we ended up kind of growing apart, unfortunately. And that was that. But yeah, so anyways, I'm going to go on to our keep things rolling along. So I'm trying to keep us within my arbitrary time limit. So, do you consider yourself more of a morning or night person?
Uh, I'm both.
That's fair.
Once I'm awake, I'm awake in most cases. I like it quiet in the mornings, not a lot of massive noise, talking. Just, I don't even turn on music. I live in a world of sound. Like, I have music playing constantly, or the TV on, or something, because it's in the background, and then my brain can just like filter with it, right? Um, so I need that sound. I gotta have it in the mornings. Never. I don't want it until like close to 8 o'clock, or I've been up for about an hour and a half. Whatever happens first.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm pushing 2.5 hours of just needing quiet, but some of that has to do with just stress and anxiety of working from home, managing kids, and living at home all at this.
Yeah, my sister has kids, and just from the little time that I've spent around them, like sounds like yeah, it seems like having kids basically means there's no such thing as quiet. And when it happens, it's just like glorious. Uh, and I remember my sister saying something once where she's like, if they're making noise, then they're playing, and that's fine. It's when it goes silent, and that's when you have to worry, because like, oh, but did something happen to them?
This is true. If it's quiet, go check out what's going on.
Yeah. So yeah, I know there's, as much as it seems like we kind of think of everyone as like morning or night people, there is actually like in betweens.
Yeah.
It's not a pure A and B kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the
Um,
ADHD keeps me up. I don't fall asleep until like 11ish. And I turn my alarm on to start getting me out of bed at 5:30. Like, I'm awake, but I don't get out of bed for at least another 10 minutes because it's quiet. It's quiet time.
yeah. No, I've heard the claim made that creative people tend to be more nighttime oriented, and like the majority of my friends do seem to be more nighttime people, and certainly like the creative ones are much more nighttime. But I also know that the thing with morning people is I feel like it's harder to find us because I don't think we're necessarily online as much in the mornings. We're just kind of like
No.
enjoying our time. And
Yeah.
so I'm like, where do I meet other morning people? Like, I don't know, because
Not at the coffee shop
yeah.
because everybody's like, I'm too tired. I need caffeine. Well, I don't need caffeine. I'm not going to find people to talk to at the coffee shop because I don't want to talk. I like the quiet. And two, I'm awake and I want to do my own thing.
Yeah. So another on a similar note, do you identify or have been diagnosed in air quotes as some form of neurodiverse, or are you neurotypical? You are.
I am neurodiverse. I have ADHD. That's my diagnosis. I am combined. As an adult, they didn't, when I got retested, by the way, um, although I never dropped my diagnosis, I just stopped taking the pills for a while. Um, they retested me and only put me at inattentive. They weren't testing for hyperactivity, which they should have, but they didn't.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, with this question, like I'm gonna leave it up to people to elaborate as much as they feel comfortable. I've talked publicly about it a lot. I was diagnosed with Asperger's back when that was still a thing, in
Yeah,
my like
yeah.
mid 20s, I
Good
think it
thing we
was.
kicked that Nazi ass to the curb and started just calling everybody and autistic as opposed to, yeah.
That battle is still being waged in some places, but yeah. If you don't know about that, viewers, Hans Asperger, who the syndrome was named after, who discovered it, had some Nazi ties. So
Yeah.
you can go look into that if you want to. I'm not gonna elaborate on that, but
Hmm.
um, so another thing that I find I'm curious about in this context of like being creative and doing all these different things. is kind of like age, and more specifically kind of like over or under 30, because there's a really big emphasis out there about like, what are, that like 30 under 30 lists, and those things are just so frustrating to me because it makes me feel like, oh, if I'm 31, then I'm useless, I'm washed up, and my time, there's no chance for me now. And that's not true, but you're made to feel this way by the way that it's always talked
Yeah.
about. And I'm trying to, like, I know a lot of the people I'm going to end up talking to on this show are going to be over 30, and
Yeah.
so I hope that that'll give some more hope to other people to be like, oh yeah, we're not screwed, it's not too late, we can
No.
still do stuff.
No. 30 under 30 lists are stupid. They're built around rich, white, neurotypical people.
Yeah.
I'm 38. I'm just gonna admit it because pardon my language. What the heck? There's a lovely thing that, I'm a published poet. I write poetry. I've been published. I got published at 37. Was that last? No, it was 37. I got published at 37. I got published in By Women Quarterly. And you know what? That's the first and only time I've been published. But I have a poetry blog I started after age 30. I still write every day, or nearly every day, about at least once or twice a week. And
so I was going to say, that's an interesting point, because you specifically mentioned being published in like a publication. And that's another thing that gets focused on really heavily is like, oh, have you been on TV? Have you been published? Have you, whatever. And it's like, I have been kind of like DIY doing my own things since basically 2013 is when I really started.
Yep.
I was doing music before that, but that's when I like started a blog and a podcast and actually started to kind of create my own projects and start to develop a brand. And I have done like a ton of stuff, like completely self-published, self-produced.
Yep.
And but not like, a lot of people don't know about it, because if they don't go to the platforms where it is, or if they don't stumble upon me some other way, then how are they going to know? And
it's the struggle I've found with with publishing poetry. In most places, what they want is a specific type of poem, one that isn't my style. And trust me when I say this, like 90% of the publications are looking for the same thing. That's the first problem. Second problem, they want somebody who has a master's degree. Most of us who have ADHD or autism or are neurodiverse get our master's degrees in our 30s or later. That was number two. Number three, they're looking for somebody who has connections into the industry or the academic community. I'm just a generic person. I'm not in the academic world about, with fine arts, or, if you're writing short stories, fantasy, science fiction, whatever, if you don't have ties and haven't put in the time, they will ignore your publication completely. You got to you have to go get published at this specific spot. Here's a list of these spots. And once you've been published at there enough, then you can move up to this other list of publications. And then you get into the big names and be published with like Tor or something on their short story collections. And I'm like,
yeah, the hoops that you have to jump through to get that like industry recognition.
Yeah.
And like to get to become kind of like a household name, like it's a totally different world. And like, I know for a long time even I was trying to pursue those more official channels, and then I kind of realized, like, because I actually applied, I think it might have been 2014 or 2015, one of those years. I think I actually did do a submission for TEDx Toronto, and I didn't get accepted, but I was like, that was me sort of trying to go through like the official fancy channel. And I just kind of realized, like, oh, well, if I'm waiting around for all these like official, platforms to give me a chance, but I could spend this time and just like make a YouTube channel and
Mhm.
write ebooks and
Yeah.
all this stuff. And so that's what I've been doing. Um and then like when I started, like I don't know if I've told you this, but I guess I'll just tell the audience, I had spent about I guess about 4 years roughly, under my, like, pre-transition name and identity and everything, and then
Hmm.
when I started transitioning, I was like, "I don't wanna do this publicly, I just need to kinda, like, go hide for, a year or 2." Basically, I just kinda disappeared off the internet for a year and a half, but starting kind of new projects or even kinda continuing, some of those
Hmm.
other things, I had to, like, rebrand it and kinda just hope that it would be okay. But so for the last, like, was the point I'm trying to drive at here is that for the last essentially 2 years, I started from scratch and I've been like building these completely new IPs
Yep.
and yeah, and just and building up, an entirely new Instagram account, a new Twitter account, and like I've gotten farther with those now than I ever did before. And like I'm really proud of that because it's like half the time, but I also had learned a lot from that first kind of 4-year run. And
Yeah.
so this time like I knew better what to do, how to go about doing it. Still the problem with the ADD of like I have all these ideas and having to think, okay, which ones am I gonna like actually
Yep.
which ones feel like they're worth pursuing and I'm gonna actually invest the time into, and which ones are like, well, it'd be cool, but it's probably not gonna pan out.
Right.
Um, so yeah, like I was saying, because I did the podcast and then I did a previous talk show, and I stopped both of those, and I was like, eventually, just like, you know what, I miss interviewing people. I really enjoy doing that,
Yeah.
and I want to do it again. And so I was actually just like I had a plan to like have people physically in studio here and interview them in person. And then COVID hit, and I was like, well, I can't do that now. And so now I'm doing this several months later when I finally decided, okay, you know what? I'm willing to do it this way, and this actually
Yep.
works better. It means I can interview people from
Right.
anywhere. Um,
Me getting
but
into Canada is not easy. My
yeah,
passport doesn't match.
the last kind of question was going to be what hats or what projects or what things do you want to like pick up or learn or try in the near future or maybe even in a little more distant future?
Ah, I would like to relearn the guitar.
Hmm.
I've got a 12 string in my bedroom. I
Nice.
used to play. I could I could strum out pretty solidly Sounds of Silence, which is not a simple tune. I focused really hard to pick up, certain songs and stuff. But I'd like to relearn it. The guitar. I would like to learn digital music, but I I wrote a song once. I wrote a jazz tune. I got the melody, and a few lines for a big band written down and transcribed down and stuff. But I don't know. Music writing is way harder, so that's something I'd be interested in learning. Otherwise, I think I would like to get better at um, RPG adventures, like D&D, Pathfinder adventures. Get those actually, written in a way that works. Because I like to wing, if I'm running a game, I'll wing it or whatever a little bit. I'd like to get better at writing a full adventure kind of thing.
Hmm. Cool. Yeah, so I guess I want to sort of round this out or kind of land the plane on the idea of, because I want to, I mean, we're sharing experience and we're talking about the things that we do or that we want to do. And I know I did ask, like, what tools do you use? But I guess the last thing I want to try to finish on is aside from what we've already talked about, is there any kind of tool or platform or resource that you think that you really think people should know about?
Honestly, if you want to do something, um, tell stories, write your poetry, share pictures, um, get a blogger or WordPress, something of that nature. Get a blog and use it, because it's going to start you with, you can give yourself goals when you have a blog, right? So I set a blog goal a few, when I first started my poetry blog, I set a blog goal of 2 poems a week posted for an entire year. And I did it. I slowed down a lot since then. But this year I decided I was going to do a poem a day, shared on both my blog and Instagram during National Poetry Month, because NaPoWriMo. So there's NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, right? There's a NaPoWriMo, National Poetry Writing Month, that happens during April. Well, National Poetry Month goes on, and you can find prompts all over the internet and stuff. So I did like 3 different goals with that. So post on my blog, post on Instagram the same poem, and get 30 different poetry prompts from friends. So each of the poems I wrote was given to me by the prompt for it was given to me by a different friend, and it was really cool.
That does sound really great. And yeah, you're right. Like, a blog is probably the simplest, easiest way to get your name and a brand out there. And like, I've been writing since basically 2013, maybe even early. Like, before then it was like LiveJournal or whatever places. But just having stuff. And sometimes I find, years later, that people will have stumbled upon things I've written, and they'll send me a note, just say like, wow, I really love this. And like, oh my God, like, so much has happened since then. But
life is different now.
We're going to record a bonus episode, which you'll be able to get through my Patreon or my Coffee page. Again, I'm just Artemis Creates on both of those. And you can become a patron for just $1 a month, which I feel like is quite reasonable. And so I'm going to be recording it was going to be a longer bonus episode, but I think now it's probably just going to be like a third part of this episode where we're just going to let ourselves tangent to our heart's content and talk about like things that maybe we just wanted to trim down for time reasons here. And but to sign out this episode of Hat Collecting Working Title, we are going to say goodbye with hats. This is not gonna actually sit. Okay, I'll have to keep my head like this so it doesn't fall off. I love her hat. That is great. Mine's just a sparkly purple one, but that's still something.
I think this is the oldest hat I own.
Actually, the oldest one, I think I know where it is, but I'm not gonna go get it. But so I hope that again, the stated goal, I hope that you learned something from this, or you were inspired, or just found like, hey, you're not alone about something. And please do, like, you can email me, Lacey at artemiscreates.com. You can get me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those different, and just I'm happy to hear from you. So, and I think, Jen, please share yours as well.
You can find me. I do have a Twitter I use occasionally, and I am on Instagram still. And I'm obviously on We Happen to Be Trans, which is on most podcast platforms, Spotify. I'm pretty sure we're on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts or whatever they call it. But it's We Happen to Be Trans, and my handles are Jen_Giggles. And if you're on Instagram and you want to see my current stuff, unfortunately, you're gonna have to go to Jen_Giggles_second, and that's the number 2 ND. Because
sorry, no,
when you get locked out, Instagram takes multiple months to get back to you, to get you back into your account.
Well, I have good news for you, because when I first heard about your podcast, I use Pocket Casts as my podcast player of choice. And when I first tried to look you up there, I believe you were not there. So I have a secondary podcast app that usually has stuff that Pocket Cast doesn't. But I just checked, and that's really blurry.
Hey,
yeah, it's there. So I can now actually subscribe to you in the correct, well, not the correct, but the preferred app.
Yeah.
And make it easier to listen. Oh, look at that. That's going to be really glary, but yeah.
And Kaylee does not have blue hair anymore. And we've just talked about that on the podcast. So,
I mean, actually, let me know if and when that top secret project is talk aboutable.
I will.
and then we can do a follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for watching, and again, I encourage you to, if you want to hear more, come check us out on the bonus on Patreon and stuff, and I will see you around.
Bye bye.